Even cops need to watch out who they mess with. These police officers got juked by criminals, straight up got ignored by a suspect getting tased, and accidentally pulled over their higher-ups. Yeah, these guys messed up big time. And today, you get to see all these mess-ups with us. So hang on tight as we go through these hilarious fails that made the cops regret having picked this profession. Number 1. The criminal who escaped on a parachute. If we are talking about daring escapes, it does not get any better than this. An unhinged criminal was standing on the edge of the bridge with a fleet of police cars behind him. He waits for a police officer to come to him so that he can fully flex his magnificent escape. As soon as the officer drops by, he tells them about the stunt he is going to pull and drops off the bridge. To add to the surprise, the officer does nothing. He stands by as the criminal shoots up in the sky, getting his audition tape filmed for an action movie. Number 2. Criminal fools a police officer. This injured man is being escorted by a police officer. Seems innocent enough, right? Wait until you see his stunt. It will leave your mouth open in shock. The cop is doing his part of the duty in carrying the seemingly injured criminal inside the building. But the poor cop has no idea what's coming his way. As soon as he pulls up on the ramp and is closer to the gate, the criminal gets up and takes flight. He seems to be running pretty fast for a guy in a wheelchair, right? It shocks the cop too. Before he could process what had happened, the criminal was long gone. Number 3. Crook takes a smack at the cop. These cops made a very horrid mistake that eventually came back to smack them in the face. Quite literally. What was the mistake? They took this criminal too lightly. A stubborn criminal kept walking with the cowardly cops trailing behind him, who kept calling out for him to stop, but the criminal was in no mood to get arrested. The cops even tased him, but that did not bring the rigid criminal down. He kept walking like a proud villain, adamant about escaping on foot. When tasing did not stop the guy, the cops decided to stick to words. They once again made the brave decision of telling him to stop. This time, the guy had enough. He turned around and smacked the police officer with a pipe. His whole face swelled into an ugly bruise, but the cops let him walk away, even after assaulting a police officer. Number 4. Runner hides under a car. This crook was getting chased by a bunch of cops, and he decided to escape in the best way possible. Seeing the car line up, the runner did not think to steal one away. Instead, he did the smart thing and slid under the car. While the cops were busy arresting his partners in crime, he hid in plain sight and fooled the cops into thinking he had escaped. Luckily, the drone was on him to catch him in his act.
I don't know. We're gonna wait and see. I don't think so, because there's one officer running by.
But the cops will definitely think harder while catching criminals the next time. Number 5. Cops make a dumb mistake while arresting a U.S. soldier. These cops pulled a traffic stop on a U.S. soldier. Boy, would they come to regret it soon. The cops were quite adamant about arresting the veteran sitting in the driver's seat for no good reason. Although he is quite cooperative, they continuously accuse him of not complying with their orders. But what the cops did next sent shockwaves through the whole media. On his delusional rampage against the soldier, the cop first pulls out his gun and threatens the soldier. No sane person would be complying with orders if their life was under question. But the cop pulled another stupid move. He grabbed the arms of the soldier and pepper sprayed him multiple times. What the cops did not realize was that the soldier was filming them. They might be trying to establish authority, but their stupid move got them a deserving gift in the form of a lawsuit. Number 6. Criminal finds a smart way to escape. This guy was on a different level of thinking when he decided to make this escape. Fearing for his life in prison, this guy pulled all the viewers in a state of shock for thinking so quick. He found the space on the wall above him to be empty and took his chance. With a great display of his parkour skills, he climbed the wall with ease and swiftly fixed himself in the empty space. Number 7. Corrupt cop messes with an FBI agent. You will be shocked that a cop would try to do this against an FBI agent. This cop was under investigation by a federal agent, but he stupidly tried to escape the matter.
Am I being detained? You're the one who called me here, sir. How did you get my phone number?
The FBI officer called the dirty cop to a location to run a routine investigation. But this cop knew that the details would get him in trouble, so he made matters much worse for himself. Despite the federal agent constantly telling him to check his ID, the cop doesn't listen. He is under the illusion that he would mess with an FBI agent and get away with it. From forcing him into a heated car to detaining him illegally, He pulled all the stupid moves in the book.
You're burning me up, brother. I had the defroster on.
An ambulance had to be called to save the federal agent from the heat, but the body cam footage caught him in the action and put him under a much worse investigation. And that is not going to be pretty for a corrupt cop. Number 8. Crook dives into the river to escape the cops. The cops had no way to predict this criminal would pull out an attempt at the quickest escape possible. This criminal was running as fast as his legs could take him, but with the cops closing in on him, he knew that he would either be outnumbered or fall prey to the cops soon enough. So instead of running, he made a smart move and jumped off the bridge. Prison must be terrifying for a criminal to leap in the water. He took a dive straight into the river to evade the arrest. He definitely did not expect the cop to do the same, who eventually made his way to the adventurous Crook. Definitely not the day this cop was expecting, getting drenched in water just to catch a criminal. Number 9. Stubborn criminal makes the cops run. In this case, the cops came in full force, and they still could not slow down the runner. The criminal must have done a terrible thing to have a chopper trailing behind him, but even the helicopter couldn't outrun this speedy criminal. So the police car made a majestic entrance to make him stop. It did work, but only for a few seconds. The criminal was pushed down to the ground from being smacked by the car. But as soon as the car stopped, he got up and started running. He refused to give up, but the police were just as stubborn as him. One of the cops came running at him to pull him down. Even then, he fought and tried to move the officer away. So a couple more cops came and finally got the runner to stop. A helicopter, a police car, and a couple of cops weren't enough to bring down this stubborn criminal. Number 10. Runner hops on a quad bike to escape arrest. This criminal had a thrilling, intrusive thought, and he decided to listen to it while getting chased by the cops. Without thinking twice, the crook gets on a quad bike, thinking he has already outsmarted the cops. But the officer is hot on his heels. That does not scare the criminal one bit, though. He is on his own adventure as he zigzags on the road, dodging and gliding on the quad bike. But his fun soon pulled to a full stop when he crashed into another vehicle. That made the job easy for the officer. Otherwise, the criminal would have outrun the cop very easily. Number 11. Cops pull a traffic stop on the head of internal affairs. The traffic police officer ran a traffic stop on this guy and even asked for his ID.
There's kind of where my understanding. Do you actually say any checkbooks?
He had no clue that the guy sitting in the driver's seat was several seats above him. Then his partner comes up and immediately recognizes the mistake.
Sir, I recognize you. No, I know who you are.
They both apologize and admit that most people don't see the lights at the intersection.
That's a very strange intersection.
But the head of internal affairs just laughs and drives away. That's why you study the whole syllabus, folks. Number 12. Runner hides behind a car and fools the cops. If hiding in plain sight was a reward, this guy should get it. The police officers were after a crook, but they had no idea that he would outsmart them. The cops pulled up their car to chase the runner on foot.
Angie, our pilot today, talking on 02, trying to...
But they had no clue that they had already passed by him. Hiding behind the car, he fooled the cops into regretting their dumb mistake. Luckily, the drone was there to save the police officers.
These officers, they don't know what the information that we know.
From an embarrassing story. Number 13. Police officer gets schooled by a veteran. This deputy was messing with the veteran and did not realize that he was digging his own grave. He first pulled an invalid traffic stop on the veteran, but when she read her rights and questioned his illegal attempt at detaining her...
So give it to me, then we'll go sit in my car, okay?
What law is that?
It made the cop start to see reality, and maybe his career flashing in front of his eyes too. The cop was not very happy, though. He smacked the door in the face of the veteran, which cost him a punishment by his sergeant. The video went viral and forced the department to issue a public apology. The cop will remember to behave next time, that's for sure. Number 14, the ninja. If you think that was smart, check this video out. You will be considering him as the perfect hire to pull off your imaginary money heist. This guy was getting chased by 2 police officers in a car. As soon as he saw the alleyway, he dodged and slid inside to flee the running car chase. But that wasn't even his smartest move. When he got inside, he flung out his slinky and hid himself inside it. He even had the mind to push it diagonally so it appeared real. This is an escape that would feel the brightest of cops. Number 15. U.S. soldier. Explains the job to cops. The cops came down to question the suspect, but at the wrong address. What happened next will shock you. A couple of police officers came down to knock on the door and question the suspect. But the veteran living there was smart. Instead of getting intimidated by the cops, he asked if the address was right.
Can you confirm the address?
Can you come out here? No, she can't come out there.
Even after confirming with the headquarters that they were at the wrong address, the cops would not budge.
This is not the right address.
They kept arguing with the veteran about how they were just doing their duty, but the veteran knew his rights, and he gave a lecture on the law and his rights, which quieted them real fast. The audacity of these cops justifying their wrongdoings is terrifying.
Now that you're on film, you messed up.
We can only hope that they do not pull a stunt like this on a citizen. Number 16, cops mess with a lawyer. It is one thing to get schooled by a soldier, but arguing with a lawyer is just embarrassing. This is what happened with this lawyer too. A bunch of cops came to question the guy about why he was dumping trash on his own property. The officers even asked for his ID, claiming that they wanted to run a check on him. But the lawyer was not going to let the cops go by this easily. He asked a few simple questions about why the cops had stopped him, but they had no answer. They were staring with a dumb look on their face. But the lawyer made his point that some cops just need extra training and should know better than to mess with a person of the law. Number 17. Criminal swiftly makes a smart escape. The cop was not ready to have a long day at work, but in his laziness, he missed an obvious escape. This bunch of mischief were being escorted from the courtroom into the Justice Center. But the police officer had messed with one wrong criminal. The years of experience on this cop might not have been enough, because to close the door behind a group of prisoners who can be major flight risks is common sense. As soon as the crook saw the opportunity, he took it and ran as fast as his feet could take him. He slipped out of the room so swiftly that the cop had no clue. He even made it out of the courtroom without attracting any attention. But his successful escape attempt was put to a halt, and he was arrested 2 hours later. Number 18. Cops could not keep the prisoner detained. This criminal was not ready to face his life in prison, so he attempted a movie-like escape. During the transfer, one of the criminals jumped off the railing, escaping the grasp of not one, but 2 police officers. The cops had no idea that the prisoners would pull off a stunt like this. At first, both of the cops ran after him, but the other one soon realized that they were in charge of 2 prisoners. So he came back to stop the other prisoner from getting any new ideas. The escapee definitely gave a hard time to the police officers responsible for transferring him. He was soon arrested, though, and that's only because a witness had spotted him hiding under her house. Number 19. Corrupt cop. Harasses the wrong people. This couple was brave enough to file a complaint against a dirty officer, but what he did next would scare any poor citizen. Luckily, the couple knew the strength of their power too. This cop was not happy that he was out of a job because of this duo. He first harassed them at the police station. When that did not work, he followed them in his car. That's not all. He even had the audacity to get out of the car and wrongly accuse them of a crime. But the couple was smart enough to record the dirty cop abusing his power and physically assaulting them. The cop had used his flashlight to smack the fingers of the accused. Luckily, it was all on record. The cop was quite foolish to think he could threaten this duo. They were definitely one step ahead of him. Number 20. Handcuffed teen jumps out of the window to escape. This teen looks quite calm even after getting arrested, but that's probably because he already had his escape planned. As soon as the suspect was pulled into the room, he knew he could escape through the window, but the cop did not see it that way and left him alone with an easy way out. When the officer left, the suspect pulled the blinds and swiftly jumped through the window. He ran as far as his legs could take him, leaving a shocking surprise for the cop in charge of his arrest. Number 21. Police raid the wrong house. These police officers were deployed in the neighborhood to run a search warrant, but they were at the wrong house. Without confirming the address, the whole lot of these smart officers were ready to raid the house. None of them had the brain to check the address. To top of that, the officers waited only 30 seconds before slamming down the door. Despite the homeowner asking them to wait, the officers did not listen, but they had no idea that they were being recorded. Their dumb mistake put a dent in their career. Number 22. Suspect fights the cops. This gutsy suspect was ready to fight, but he was not prepared for prison. After a high-speed chase, the suspect was finally halted by the cops. As soon as a cop closed in on him, he turned around and started a brawl with the cop. Another cop joined him, but he was not giving up resisting. Eventually, he was brought down and detained. A single man was so hard to get arrested that 3 cops had to manhandle him. Number 23. Suspect saves himself from a dirty cop. This couple of boys were getting assaulted by a police officer. He thought he could get away, but the boys recorded him. The dirty cop first came at one of the boys and struck him with a flashlight. The boy knew his rights and immediately schooled him. But the cop did not stop. He tried to assert dominance by showing his badge. That did not end well for the cop, though, because he did not realize he was being recorded on the camera by the smart suspects. He was wrong to underestimate these teenagers. Number 24. Detective humbles the cops. This detective was on duty when he saw a police car following him. Instead of getting offended, he humbled them straight away. The police car had been following the black detective for a mile. He finally had enough and decided to stop and see what the circus was about. The police officers got out and started questioning the detective. When they found out that he was an officer of the law, they immediately pulled back and ran straight back to their car. Luckily, they stopped before it turned into a bigger mess. Number 25. Cops accidentally stop a judge. Nothing could have prepared the cops to get ready to face this embarrassing encounter. A judge was driving when he was pulled over by a police car. He simply asked them to run the registration plates. When the cops found out that the person they had stopped was a judge, they apologized and let him go. Number 26. Cops mistakenly arrest an FBI agent. This group of cops made a mistake so embarrassing that this footage will always be a waking reminder for them to do their duties right. Some police officers thought that this guy sitting very carefree matched the description of a criminal, so without any proof, they decided to barge in his private space and demand him to give in to an unlawful arrest. Despite the constant pleas of the guy claiming that they had the wrong guy, the cops were not ready to listen to his logical explanations. When the cops pulled out the handcuffs to detain the man, he asked them very politely to check his ID.
Officer, listen. No. Go ahead. Matter of fact, look at my ID.
It revealed that he was an FBI agent.
What does that say? What does that say? Oh!
The look of surprise and embarrassment is quite evident on the faces of these cops. They probably knew at that moment that their careers were over. Number 27. Criminal hides in the trash can. This sweet escape will leave you in awe at how quickly the criminal was on his feet. Having only a few seconds before the officer catches him, the runner finds the trash can and decides to use it as the perfect disguise. And it worked, because the cop had no clue that the criminal he was after was one cheeky hidester. Number 28. Cops hear a lecture from a veteran. This cop needs to learn more about his job before putting on his scary face for routine questioning. But don't worry, this veteran is here to get him to refocus on his techniques. The cop stopped this particular dark sedan, although a bunch of others had run closely after the traffic stop. After questioning about why they were stopped, the veteran receives a very unsatisfying answer.
Possible attempted homicide.
Possible attempted homicide.
Yes.
Hearing the stupid answer, he goes on to lecture them about the law and his rights, which the cop should have known in the first place.
Your cooperative behavior right now does not help your cause.
The cop got humbled real fast. The cops were wrong to mess with a veteran, but you can only imagine what they do with a citizen unaware of his rights. Number 29. Sober man outsmarts the cops. This man was not even drunk, but the cop was not ready to hear him out. What happened next probably embarrassed the whole police department. This poor guy was asked to do the sobriety test 3 times. Despite his constant pleas to get the breathalyzer test and be done with it, the cop would not budge. He kept insisting that the guy was drunk and went as far as to arrest him. The trip to the police station was not pretty, though. The cop soon realized his dumb mistake and apologized immediately. He got a lecture from the suspect.
I just want to know, how does it feel?
And definitely one from his superiors too. So these were the encounters these cops will remember for a long time. Whether it be an embarrassing encounter with a higher authority or the sneaky attempts of the runners, the officers knew they were having a rough day at work.
Freelance contractor.
What did you think about these foolish encounters? Which one was your favorite? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button if you have stayed with us till the end of the video. Once you are done, make sure you subscribe to the channel too. We will be bringing many exciting uploads for you soon. So stay tuned and have a great day ahead.